Welcome to the Hidden City Podcast. I'm Grant.
And I'm Doug, and we're here to share some of the incredible stories and people from Oak Cliff that you might not know.
We're going to sit down with some of the visionaries, craftsmen, and business owners who have shaped Oak Cliff into what it is today.
Oak Cliff is on the south bank of the Trinity River, a few miles south of downtown Dallas. While technically it was part of Dallas, it was its own city for a long time, and it still has that independent spirit.
We'll dive into the history and the spirit of this place, exploring the different challenges and successes that defined it.
This is The Hidden City, a podcast about the people and the stories that make Oak Cliff extraordinary. Welcome back to this episode of the Hidden City Podcast. Today we're doing something special. We are going to be looking back of all the episodes this past year and doing a top 10 list and moments of the most watched episodes. And so we've been able to capture so many amazing stories, talk to a lot of different amazing individuals here in Oak Cliff, and we're excited to give you the top 10 moments. Okay, starting at number 10, we have episode 56, which is Patty Evans of Oak Cliff Sandlot. Patty was awesome. It was so fun getting to hear the story of Oak Cliff Sandlot, people coming from all over to play some pickup ball, and Patty's ability to kick that off here in the neighborhood and bring the Sandlot baseball thing to the neighborhood. And so he's coming in at number 10. It was an awesome episode, and here's a clip from Patty.
Kind of was just like fingers crossed, hopefully. I mean, I knew a few friends.
Yeah, you had probably a few that you had
I had like
invited.
4 or 5 friends that were like, yeah, I'll come
Yeah,
out
a little
and see what
critical
you're doing.
mass that you're like, okay,
I mean,
can
I
at
had
least throw the
enough
ball.
to like we were going to play catch up.
Yeah.
First game we had, I think we had about 30, 40 people.
That's
awesome.
These are just complete randos.
Dude, I love
that
that.
just showed up.
Yeah,
I was outside of myself.
No kidding.
But the fact that all these people showed up.
You can play
I didn't know
game.
what I was doing. I was just kind of like, this is kind of the general idea of what I'm going to do. I mean, no sponsors, nothing.
No.
It was just I rented the park and was hoping for people to show up. And then we played a full 9 innings. And my team that we have teams out of Oak Cliff Sandlot.
Yeah.
And my team, the Oak Cliff 86ers, which is the very first team, I guess, I would say a vast majority, 75% still to this day, and we're in year 4, or just finished year 4, are those guys from that very first pickup game.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
So, and that's how we build our teams, is just like we have a large swath of new people that show up, and we're like, hey, you want to play more than once a week or once a month?
Yeah.
And if they have interest, we kind of bundle them together. So it's completely random people. We don't pick and choose, unless, a team that's already existing is like, hey, we're down to 1 catcher. We need somebody else. So if we ever come across a catcher, we'll send them to them.
I see.
To help out with that. But other than that, it's you get what you get. Which is way more fun because you meet all kinds of new people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met so many people that live within 5 blocks of me that are on my team.
That's cool.
Didn't know they existed.
That's awesome.
But they
awesome.
I can just drop off their house. They
Yeah.
come over and hang out and those kind of things. So it's like you meet a lot of cool people.
That's
So
awesome.
tell us about the Oak Cliff 86ers. What is 86 in reference to?
1886.
Okay.
Oak
This is
Cliff's
the year
founding.
Oak Cliff
Yeah.
was founded. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you said there's multiple teams in Oak Cliff Sandlot.
Yes.
How does the structure of the whole league, I guess, work? Or like, how does it work?
We try not to use the word league because I think that has too many.
Imports kind of the thing you were trying to get away from.
It's not that
it imports
fun.
the scores, the standings, the stats. I mean, some people do it just
teams. What is that?
It's just we just have teams. So all the teams that we do have, we currently have 6.
Okay.
So we have the Oak Cliff 86ers, we have the River City Honeybusters, we have the White Rock Mudbugs,
Nice.
we have the Redbird Aviators, we have the South Irving Coyotes, and who am I missing? Someone's going to be upset. Oh, the East Dallas Booze Hounds.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So some of those teams kind of started on their own and then joined us. Some were completely formed out of our pickup games.
Cool.
So, and we have a lot of East Dallas, Oak Cliff people.
Yeah.
Like most of the people on the 86ers are from Oak Cliff. The Honeybusters are half and half.
Okay.
It's almost very half and half. And then East Dallas Booze Hounds, all those guys was a group of basically bar flies at Good Friend.
Oh,
Nice. Okay, yeah.
That's great.
And Josh that runs Good
Okay.
Friend, he's on the team as well.
Oh, cool.
And so like you can go to Good Friend any day of the week at almost any time, and there's at least one or two booze hounds
Oh, that's
all the
funny.
time.
Hey everybody, my name is Jason Talley. I'm the producer of the Hidden City podcast, and coming in at number 9, we have Don Raines Jr. He's one of the senior planners for the city of Dallas, and fun fact, I used to want to be an architect, and listening to this conversation with Don was just, oh man, it was awesome. He talks so much about why the city is the way that it is, planning-wise, talking about even the dart rail system or why certain buildings are the way that they are. And it was just fascinating to me, and it was clearly fascinating to a lot of our listeners because it's the number 9 most watched episode of 2025. So here's a clip from that episode.
When Love Field shut down, basically, all the
Okay.
American and Braniff, all
Yeah.
these airlines flew out of Love Field, and they all had to move to DFW. And then the little lowly Southwest says, "Oh, we want to stay." Oh, okay. You don't have to go to DFW. You just go to Austin, Houston. You're okay. You can stick around. So you got 3 planes. So when Love Field in the 70s basically shut down and the city of Dallas owned it, I learned how to ice skate in the Love Field terminal. There used to be an ice rink in there. In 1975. And also, because there wasn't any planes, all these apartments on the other side of Bodmin Lake got built. It says, hey, there's no noise.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, we got Bodmin Lake.
Yeah.
And that was actually the hip part of Dallas.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the European Crossroads Shopping Center was like an early West Village kind of thing. All these, it was like a, hey, there's no noise.
Yeah.
We can breathe. Let's fix up Bodmin Lake and have, roller skating and paddle boats on the lake and all that kind of stuff. And then when the planes started picking up again, then those apartments didn't look so good anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's interesting how cities go through this up and down period.
Yeah.
I actually learned that from some Berliners. They told me how cities kind of rise up and they go down. And they came to Dallas and they wanted to ride in the back of my pickup truck because they can't do it in Germany and drive through downtown. I said, okay, whatever. I got these crazy Germans in the back of my pickup. But they were so stoked about Dallas, about downtown or just Dallas. They said, we see your city. And these are East Berliners. We see your city going up.
Yeah.
And we're excited about that. But we know in Europe, we have a history of cities going up and down all the time.
Well, I've always heard a barometer, and this is maybe just a saying we've picked up, but it's like, so goes Jefferson, so goes Oak Cliff. Like, and that's kind of something that I've seen or we've seen as like a little through line or a heartbeat of Oak Cliff. Would you agree with that when you think of the whole Oak Cliff as a community?
I think Oak Cliff has learned to, at first it was all about Jefferson, that's true, because it was the downtown, of Oak Cliff. And everything changed in 1956 when the streetcars stopped. Yeah. Because there was so many, in January of 56 when the streetcars stopped, people actually used to take the streetcar to church on 10th Street. Yep. And there was more churches on 10th Street than almost anywhere in the United States because of the streetcar. And then when the streetcar went away, all of a sudden you got to, this church is, we can't get anybody here because we can't get them here by public transportation. So we need to buy this church over here and turn it into a parking lot. And those things started happening, tax-free parking lots and all that kind of stuff. And then, so I think Oak Cliff really, really built its identity off the streetcar. It was the first train, the steam train came over from Marsalis. He brought the first train across. Then steam became out of fashion and it became a streetcar quickly. Okay. But in general, Oak Cliff was always about the adventure of crossing the river and doing the streetcar system. And because we didn't just wipe it clean in the 1970s and start over and get rid of all that, we still have the bones of the streetcar character. Bishop Arts, Elmwood, of course, all those are bones from the past. Okay. All about walkable. So
was Elmwood on the streetcar line, or did it?
I'm not sure if it was for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I have to look in the maps.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of places like
just these districts.
Yeah, these little districts,
little centers.
Oak Cliff, Boulevard. There's some places over there that you start to see the old map from 1925. Yeah. You can see how things kind of developed.
All right, coming in at number 8 on our countdown, we've got Chad West. Chad West is the councilman here in Oak Cliff in District 1. And we had an awesome conversation about policy, citywide politics, what it looks like for a city like Dallas to progress in the future. And it was great. If you've ever been interested in kind of getting a peek into politics and what it takes to like serve in your local area, you'll love this episode. So give it a listen.
Oak Cliff has always been, before my time, and it will be after my time, really a trendsetter for the city. So what starts happening in Oak Cliff, and like the streetcar, for example,
Yeah.
what's coming back, it was ripped out in the 40s, and we have one now.
Yeah.
Now the streetcar is going to get expanded through downtown if we get the funding for it, and probably to the zoo. So we're a trendsetter for that different type of public transit. We are a trendsetter without even meaning to be for general density. You've got great neighborhoods like Winnetka Heights and Lake Cliff, which have duplexes and triplexes that are mixed in and look like the single family homes that are around. This is wildly controversial in the city. I've got a lot of like political enemies because of my stance on general density, that it can work, and if done appropriately with design standards. And so it's Oak Cliff has already done that. We've had that type of general density since before any of us were born.
Right.
And
it's
we
not
live with
it's not a new thing. But it is a controversial thing nowadays.
Yeah.
But there are these obvious problems that we were talking about earlier. It's
housing crisis.
people can't afford to buy a house in some ways, or there's just so many people here. You have to have some sort of middle housing option for a lot of people. But yeah.
So that's a trend. Traffic calming measures. This has been a big passion of mine, is putting in these little pedestrian islands when you're crossing. Like if you go by Gloria's, there's like a little island there as you're crossing Davis, which still feels like a death trap when you're crossing Davis.
But after a couple margaritas, and
you might be glad it's there.
Yeah.
Those kinds of little things like you don't see throughout the city as much as you should. Before my time and during my time, we put those kinds of things in. So we've always been a trend-setting district. I think we'll continue to be the forefront because our neighbors are a little more courageous, a little more entrepreneurial, and willing to try that, and willing to tolerate their council members who are, a little out there in the forefront on that stuff. Sometimes they are anyway. I hear both sides of it.
Yeah.
But I've seen that. I think what has been a challenge for our district is the far western part and the southern part, including Elmwood to a certain extent. There's been redistricting happens every 10 years where lines are redrawn, and they're generally redrawn to try to be racial opportunity districts. So where there's more like Latino districts or African American districts, and that still happens. It's the way it's done in Dallas. The western southern parts of Oak Cliff have every 10 years been redrawn in a way where it's a different council member who's like coming in for the first time. And a lot of those areas don't vote as well. So as a result of that, it's not any council member's fault, but as a result of that, the western part of the district especially has not had a lot of attention. There's a lot of infrastructure problems over there. There was no zoning in place in a lot of these areas forever, since like the 50s. The parks need help. And so I've spent the last few years really focusing on those areas and trying to get out into them. The West Oak Cliff area plan was a plan we started to talk to people about for like your long range planning. What do you want in terms of streets? And do you like how your Clarendon and Hampton Road, is that the kind of retail you want to have? Or do you want to maybe think about something else?
Hi, I'm Savannah Young, production manager at the Hidden City podcast. Coming in at number 7, we've got episode 30 with Vincent Holland. Vincent's the founder of the Oak Cliff Run Club. And so in this episode, we get into how that run club came to be and kind of his story with running. It's really exciting. Check it out here.
I called a group of people, and the reason why it's called Say Less is because I had this weird idea at night. I was like, let's run from Dallas to Austin, and let's do it to raise money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I asked these people, and the mantra was like, they got to be able to say, like, the term say less. Like, you don't even got to ask me.
Yeah.
I'm
Say
in.
less. I'm in.
And so I asked this crazy group of people, and a month later, we're running from Dallas to Austin. And it was one of the craziest things I've ever done and the most incredible things I've ever done. I mean, we literally, a group of us, we just got in a van, and it's relay style. So you would run a couple miles and then change out and swap out. But none of us had ever done anything like this. We definitely had never been involved in a situation with this much pressure together. I knew everyone I asked, but the bonding was like for life now when you go through something like that. Me and my friend Noel, we got chased by dogs in the middle of the night in the backwoods of Texas. Because I was like, we're not going to get on the highway. Yeah. Which now when I think about it, like, I don't know if that was better because people drive just as fast on the backwoods of Texas. And there's less room. But we raised and the idea happened on out of nowhere. And we just did it. We raised like $5,000 for this charity. Awesome. Then we raised the money for the run. And so I thought I was just going to do that. And now it's like a thing like that I'm doing and I'm becoming more and more passionate about. And so now we got 12 more people doing it this year.
Wow. Seriously.
And so, we're going to do that. And that's part of the like podcast thing I was telling you about.
Oh, nice.
We're going to do that. And just really talk about mental health and go as deep as people are willing to go.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Sorry that happened to your dad, you said. And so you did you grow up without a father, or were you?
No, so luckily I grew up with my father and my mom, and I have a brother. And man, like really, I would have never have thought that this would be how this would happen. So that actually happened. So during 2021, when we were starting the run crew, like all of that was happening. I was going through a lot of life change, stepping down from a career I was involved with for a long time, and other things. And so those three, I date one of the co-founders. So, but those three in particular were they were rocks for me during that time. Because right around the time we met was around the time that was all about to hit ahead. And so again, it goes back to the power of being in community. Like if I didn't have the community and then running, a lot of runners will say that running is their therapy. And by all means, I don't think it's a replacement for actual therapy. But when you're running and it's just you and your thoughts, I used running tremendously to get through that season of my life. I mean, I'd be on runs and just weeping. On the highway, downtown. People probably what is wrong with this guy? Not knowing, not having a clue.
What's going on in your life. But
and I even ran the 2022 Chicago Marathon for that charity, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, in honor of my dad. And that was such a big deal for me. I try not to get emotional about it, but I remember I was in line to take off for the run, and
you're good, man. You're
this
good.
Guy he tapped me on the shoulder, and I was like, what? And I'm trying to focus, and I look over, and he has the people that ran for that charity had a certain outfit on. And he was like, me too.
Oh man.
I'm like, bro, I'm trying to go. I gotta go 26 miles now.
Hey, you're like, don't do this right now.
He wrecked me, dude.
Man.
Because he was again, it's that stigma. You don't. I get it. It's you don't want to wear the shirt that says my loved one committed suicide. And I by all means, I think if your heart is that you don't want to talk about it, I think that's perfectly fine. I think you should do that. But if you're willing to talk about it, I think it helps other people because they need to.
There's a community with that vulnerability, even talking about that.
Someone may see me and think oh man, this guy he just has it all put together. He leads this run crew, and I'm like, I'm just like you, man. I have things going on in my life, and so I try to wear my brokenness on my sleeve so people can see it because we're all going through stuff.
I think it's better to talk about it, generally speaking, just because I think that, like you said, that's how you get connected with people that have experienced the same thing, or you give people the ability to say, I can raise my hand and say I've had the same problems in my life.
All right, coming in at number 6, we have Chad Dolezal, who was episode 24. Chad is one of the minds behind Chinzo's, and it was so fun getting to hear his mind around hospitality, some of his punk rockness, and just what he's done to create this amazing space in the neighborhood. I think listeners really related to how funny and honest he was, and we're just so thankful that he's got this space here in Oak Cliff and his amazing pizza. And I hope you enjoy this episode. So number 6, Chad Dolezal.
Genre in that space as a free space, and I really felt that. I felt that immediately, and I was like, everyone's okay here. Everyone's okay. Like, color doesn't matter. And your parents' income doesn't matter. The car you drive doesn't matter. Whether you can play an instrument or not doesn't matter. And in the best way. And you know, we're the only thing we are anti is hate or saying no. You know, going like, no, that doesn't belong here. And it's like, no, it you know, anything can belong here if you want it to. Like if you open yourself up to it, of course it belongs here. It should belong here. Everything belongs here. And so it became a really big imprint on my life. And I think it's why, like, I mean, I work in the hospitality industry because I want to be hospitable to people. I want people to be hospitable back to me. And I think sometimes the restaurant industry loses track of that. I think society can lose track of that sometimes. You know, there's a million examples of it. But, like, you know, so for me, it always has been about a community space, you know, whether it was Durutti Column, Bill's Records and Tapes, like that was a big one for me, going up there. And like, I saw Weezer when they were barely Weezer.
That's amazing.
And
how cool.
Yeah. And it was like, I loved going to that place, and you could buy, it shows how old I am, but like VHS tapes of like shows recorded in other cities. And like the first time I learned like because there was no internet to look anything up as. And I was like, so that's what these people look like. Yeah. And, you know, so there were all these spaces. And then we got a little bit older, not a lot older, but I mean, you know, back in the day, like, and maybe they should have parented me a little bit more, but like they'd go to Deep Ellum. I'd go to Trees and go to Galaxy Club, go to the Orbit Room and go see all these shows. And it was awesome. And like, it changed genres. We'd go see, you know, Hackfish one night, Brutal Juice one night, the Toadies one night, and, you know, all these things and then go see Guar, you know, and like, and so it was always like really funny because there was no like, do they look like I look, or or exactly how I look, or do they act exactly how I act? It was like, no, this is a free space. Let's just go see it all, like take it all in. And I think that like for me, that should be a restaurant, like, and that should be the space. And again, we push back everyone. I mean, if someone's not being courteous or not being polite, like, and we did it in those spaces as well when we were younger kids. And I mean, we were far from brawlers or anything like that. Like, like that was never a part of it. It was like, please don't do that. And also, please don't hit me. And, but you know, that's it, to me, it all carries over. It's a community space. I want everyone to, you know, I feel like once you open the doors of a restaurant, like that first day of service, that's not yours anymore. It's everybody else's. If you did it right. And I always, things I would say over and over as we were getting open, I was like, remember, we're not building a clubhouse for ourselves. You know, we have to remember this. We're building it for everybody else. We want our soul to be a part of it. But like, if we're doing it right, they recognize that and they're like, cool, thank you for having us in. But then it becomes their space. And 100%. You know, and we started reaching out to neighborhood groups who are like, have your neighborhood meeting here. I mean, every time someone's like, my kid wants to have their birthday party here, I'm like, oh man, it's so rad. Like, and it's just such a good feeling. And you know, we have the Rosemont Dads Club coming in on Thursday. Yeah. And I just got an email from one of the mom groups, and they're coming. And I'm like, that's like, to me, that's success. Yeah. You know, like we did it right. You know, and
we feel some of that sometimes with Black Space, where it's like, oh, here's this random group coming in or this, and you're like, it feels right. I think it's also what you're talking about, like just that gratitude. Again, I see that in you, Chad, where you're like, man, how cool is it this group wants to do this or that?
And I was saying to Savannah when we were walking through here, like, she was like, have you been in the States before? I was like, ironically enough, like a lot of like Shinzo's was born here. Like we would meet people. I'd see you guys, you know, and you know, I've worked on other projects in around the area, and this is where we would meet. And like, I really do think it's one of those things. And like, it became something. It became something where people feel good being at, and it becomes their own. Like I wasn't like, I'm going to Doug and Grant's place. You know, it was like, I was like, cool, Wax Space exists for us.
Exactly.
You know? And,
like you said, it takes on a life of its own by the people that are visiting, and then they make it their own.
Yeah.
And that's success, like you said.
No, it like, I've never been part of a project that turned out anywhere close to where I thought it was in my head. It always, whether it's budget, whether
Yeah.
it's conflicting personalities, whether it's just timelines or whatever it is, but like Shinzo's did. And I think that's also what makes it unique and special to me. I'm like, oh my God, like we wrote this down on paper like 3 years ago or whatever, 3.5 years ago. Yeah. And like those sentences still like that business plan, that first paragraph like happened.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, coming in at number 5 on our list of top watched episodes 2025, we have Alex Bohr, who runs Elmwood Studios. We got an awesome look into what it takes to run a music studio. Elmwood Studios is an iconic Oak Cliff music studio, and it's hosted all sorts of famous artists and local artists. So he tells us some funny stories about the studio and just kind of what it takes to do the work that he does over there. So enjoy this clip.
Well, tell us. Okay, so the recording studio used to be a funeral home, then a reality, and you've had so many groups come through. Is there any like memorable sessions or times where you're just like, man, this was it? It was right when we were producing this, or we were just, memorable in any way.
It's I've done so many types of things in that studio. Everything we've talked about today, almost I've done there, whether it's composing or even writing records. Like a lot of the This Will Destroy You stuff that we made while now is in that band. We like wrote in that room.
Wow.
All the, a lot of composing stuff, Meow Wolf, all that. So it's sort of just like, not so much memorable sessions, but just like, there's just, something special about being able to look at it and be like, man, like that's the spot for a lot of us around here. And I think it's where a lot of artists feel comfortable too in these parts. And it's, so for me, it's a bit hard to narrow down because
Totally.
I promise you, I feel like they're all quite special, and it's not in whoa, look at me kind of a way, but it is. And it feels that way all the time. And it's just, the whole situation feels,
you're proud to like have like a thing that people come and make, and you have also obviously made in it, and so just the fact that it exists is memorable. I think is
totally.
Kind of
it's probably not the best answer to that question, but no, for sure. I feel super lucky to be able to provide a place for people that feels comfortable, hopefully, and like a place where they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. Period. And that's it, and that's huge. And the fact that it continues to be so in the era that we're in, where there's less and less recording studios, is just, I'm just lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I feel like with the brewery, we've seen like a lot of different musicians kind of local come through in some ways, and like I just love that there's like someone doing this very like well in the neighborhood, and it's cool to see that happen. I mean, like how do people collaborate with you, or how are ways that people who are starting out start to kind of like think like, hey, Alex is doing this here. This would be fun to learn more about what he's doing and how to connect.
Yeah, you can. I'm on like, I suppose like social media wise, the only real one I'm on is Instagram. So you can find me there, message me there, or even better, you can go to my website, which is just my name, alexbohr.com.
Nice.
And that has my email address on it. And you can just email me directly there too, and send me like demos, or hit me up if you're interested in doing something, and we'll see if it can work out. And I like to try to like work with a broad array of types of artists and music and people and all that. So even if it seems a little bit like maybe out of my wheelhouse, hit me up. Maybe it could be cool.
And
cool.
To play off that question, because I think you're right. There's like a lot of younger artists, or at least like they haven't been recording a lot. Like I imagine that can be an intimidating thing.
Yeah.
What would you like? How would you encourage an artist who's like, hey, never done this before, intimidated by the idea of recording in a studio?
Right.
What would you say to them?
Well, these days people can record themselves pretty easily, like in almost any way, like whether it's just a really simple phone recording or like a little cassette 4-track or a intricate home setup. I would say just prepare as much as you can, work on your stuff as much as you can, try to do everything you can up until the point of like coming to someone like me to like make it something you love.
Yeah.
And I mean, I might hear it and be like, this rules. You should just master it and put it out.
Yeah.
Or I might be like, okay, like what if we like kind of took this and messed with it together and tried to like do a little, like spruce it up or something. Or maybe it's a situation where, a ground up type thing, and we're going to look at that demo as just a demo and make something separate from that. Just just make stuff.
Yeah.
Just keep making stuff until you feel like, okay, I've pushed this as far as I can, and like maybe I could use a little help in this way. And I think a studio or someone like me could help.
Yeah.
Because I mean, up until that point, what do you need me for?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of people that make their own stuff that like, it's perfect, and I would be like so scared to even like inject my own like opinion into it. It's like I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
So I think there's no rules.
Yeah.
And because of that, it can be anything you want it to be.
All right, number 4 on our most watched of 2025 is episode 36 with Merced Elizondo. This guy was incredible, talking about filmmaking and how to make universal stories personal, and just really brought in the emotion, and it clearly hit all of our listeners as well. And I think that this clip that you're about to see is going to just give you a taste of that episode. I really encourage you, go back and watch the whole thing. I think you'd love it.
I went to school here my whole life. I started in public school, and then ended up going to Catholic school, St. Elizabeth, right across the street from the Fiesta on Hampton, and then going to Bishop Dunn. And I've gone back a couple of times to talk to the students, to kind of talk through the parents, and just go, hey, like, trust me, if I can do it, I'm from here. If I can do it, like, anybody can. Truly, like, it's hard, but if you care about it, and if you truly believe in your heart that like you can't do anything else but be a painter, be a filmmaker, and contribute to that in that way, just go for it. And I always tell people too, like, the immediate thought for a lot of folks that I talk to is like, well, I got to move to LA or New York, and it's like, okay. Pump the brakes a little bit, because and look, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. I only know my way. I've stayed in Oak Cliff. I've stayed in Dallas. I've built a community here. It's strong, and I'm making a name for myself here. I have a bit of a leg up now if I moved to New York or LA today. But if I did it when I was just starting, I would be swallowed whole by the industry in a place where it's mecca for what we do. It's so incredibly saturated, and the last thing I would want is for our fellow like Oak Cliff folks and filmmakers and Dallas folks to move there, spend a year couch surfing, and go, well, I tried that dream. It is what it is, because it's just so much harder. So make it with your community, the people you went to high school with. Like if you went to Kimball, if you went to SOC, you went to all these like dope ass places. Rally the troops. That's how I make movies. That's how I've made them. My first 4 short films, and for Manozotto, for example, I needed a mechanic shop. My dad's a mechanic.
It's like, great, I have the resources here. I know the connections. This is my community.
So you don't have to pay location fees. Like there was a church that I shot in. I shot parts of it in Fort Worth, and they didn't want to charge me. They're like, hey, we don't really get productions like this. Like, it's okay. Like, just put our name at the end of it. And I'm like, I'm more than happy to. If I needed a gas station for a scene in Manozotto, there's a gas station right next door who my dad's friends with, to the mechanic shop that he owns. If I need an RV, my dad used to have an RV, a boat. My little brother has a boat.
There's power in staying in the neighborhood, I think, because there's like you said, there's a temptation, but also just this idea. It's like the trope almost. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go do this, and then like couch surf, and it's like, it's even like New York City or LA, they're used to that. You're gonna pay a lot for these things.
If you go to the same mechanic shop in LA, they know their value. They're gonna go, okay, let's pony up $10,000
for this location fee. So you're talking about this. I love the idea of staying rooted and still being connected to these coasts. You've kind of said before, I want to be the Richard Linklater of Dallas. What do you mean by that? Is that kind of what you mean? Or
it's exactly what I mean. Okay. I mean, look, I've built my career here. Is there a world where maybe one day I spend like a year or 2 in LA? Probably, but for now, like I've built my career here. I don't plan on changing it. The cool thing about what I do is that I'm not beholden to filming in one place. Like I want to continue to make movies in Dallas, start a family here, continue to grow with the community here. But I can shoot in West Texas. If I shoot this film, the thing about elephants, I could shoot in Ohio, I could shoot in New York, LA, and I travel a lot to these places to work. But at the end of the day, I always come back home. This to me feels like home. I love it, and all these places that I get to travel to. But I think there is something pretty, like, I keep saying the word punk rock because it feels like very innovative, and it feels very fresh, like the things that are happening here. And I'm honored that I'm a part of it, the ecosystem that's contributing to film happening in Oak Cliff and in Dallas. And I try to encourage people to do the same, not just for the sake of like selfishly keeping people in Dallas, but like, look, it'll benefit you more to build your community here with access to resources where you don't have to pay a lot of money. Like if you still live with your parents, like just save the money, dude. Like just save the money.
All right, at number 3 on the countdown, we have episode 29 with Emma Ruby. She's been a local journalist in Oak Cliff for over 5 years, and we kind of shared about her commitment to the local beat here in Dallas and specifically in Oak Cliff. So check it out.
When I was in high school, I really remember either in late 2016, early 2017, kind of around the time of the first Trump presidency. I went to a very diverse high school, and so that was just a really contentious time. And I remember there was regionally kind of this plan for major walkouts. The Hispanic community was going to stage these walkouts in protest of the Build the Wall stuff. And, our principal had come on and said, if anyone walks out, we're sending you to the behavioral campus for a week. You're failing your class. It was crazy.
Super threats.
Yeah. And I was in my newspaper class at the time, and I just remember hearing all of a sudden chanting and shouting in the school. And it was just my instinct to grab a camera and run out after them. And and it was amazing, and I loved it. And I love that feeling of chasing what's happening. I find it more comforting to run towards the crazy thing that's happening, which Anderson Cooper writes about in a memoir that he has, which I read around that same time. And I remember being 16 and being this is the feeling of,
so interesting.
Going and capturing the story.
Right. And
that's not
and your camera and your pen is your shield almost.
Yes.
And so I ran out after that, and that I remember being the story where I kind of understood that if that's your instinct, you can't fight your instincts.
Right.
And so as much as logically there have been times where I'm maybe journalism doesn't make the most sense, if it's your instinct, you can't.
It's part of who you are.
I think so.
It's tough to run away from that forever.
Right. Yeah.
All right, coming in at number 2, we have Don Tortellini. He is episode 23. So Don was an amazing filmmaker. It was really fun getting to spend some time here with him. But he talked about documenting Oak Cliff and the responsibility of storytelling. Talking about the stories that are personal to him, but then also looking around in our neighborhood and places like that to draw inspiration from and look towards doing stories. And so we really enjoyed our time with Don. He was just awesome getting to hear his mind behind it and how he was capturing stories. And so, here's number 2, Don Tortellini.
But Claws came about because, like I said, I was creating with intention. I wanted to stay creating and create work that would entice people and want to come see photography. And I was wrapping up Faces of Dallas, which was my homelessness photography. And I said, what is the next thing that I could photograph? And I said, what is something that's overlooked and underappreciated, but right in our faces?
What a great question.
And I was looking around. I'm looking at the commonality of every woman that I saw on the street, and everyone had nails. And I said, I asked this woman randomly, I said, do you mind if I take a picture of your hands? And of course, that's the most random question you can ask a stranger. Do you have a...
Takes a little courage to even ask it, yeah.
That's a photographer, right? You got to get out, but yes.
But it's the way that you ask it. I didn't ask it in a weird kind of way.
Oh, for sure.
It was most definitely let me give you context as to why I think I just struck gold with something. So I took the photograph, and it was a photograph of a woman holding her hand over her face. She had a skeleton tattoo on her palm or on the top of her hand, and that was kind of the beginning of Claws. And I just started photographing women's nails for 2 months, from October to November. I printed it and had an exhibition at the Wrights Twins Gallery on Exposition in South Dallas, and no PR, no radio, no television, no nothing. 200 people came.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, the details and the story that are in the nails too. It's just remarkable.
It was word of mouth. So a lot of people came just off of what they heard, and I was going to nail shops hey, I'm having an exhibition, come, just randomly popping in, just dropping off little flyers, definitely boots to ground type of promotion on the exhibition. So that's kind of how that went.
Man.
I love it. You briefly mentioned Faces of Dallas.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that campaign?
Yeah. So when I photographed in the beginning and I was photographing the city, I walked everywhere I went. I didn't ride my bike. I just walked downtown, and the first people that I would see are homeless people. And I have an Eagle Scout background, so service is something that I've been doing ever since I was 9. So when you think about just the way that you approach a person, it's more of a testament of the kind of person that I am than the kind of photography that I take. So I had a very holistic approach when I approached people. I treated them as if I was in their shoes. I wanted to respect them. I wanted to tell their stories. I wanted to get consent from them. That was the biggest thing. I wanted the photographs to be portraits. I didn't want photographs of like people's wrists and ankles and shoulders and them sleeping and things of that nature. Everything was consensual. So in order to do that, you have to have conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you have to treat them like a human.
Absolutely.
Like I think that's
right.
Especially in nonprofit like photography storytelling, sometimes it's overlooked, and that's important to do that specifically with that in your neighborhood, man.
You have
that's
to be very careful with that, you know. And for me, I didn't want to treat them as objects or animals or anything like that. They're human beings, and for me, I knew that because I possessed this poise about myself to go out into the streets and have conversation and, you know, take this holistic approach and have, you know, dialogue about their stories, that it was going to be heavy. So I photographed them and had conversations with them and told their stories. And it ended up on Good Morning Texas. And Good Morning Texas showed it. And I think one of the most full circle moments was there was a gentleman that I photographed that they put on the screen at American Airlines Center, and he saw himself on the screen. And I was walking down the street one day, and he stopped me. He was like, "Hey, you know, I saw myself on the screen." And he told me, he was just like, "Thank you for telling our stories. You know, no one else comes out here with intent to, you know, tell our stories."
And down to number 1, this is the number 1 most watched episode of the year of our top 10 countdown, and that is with Patricia Puckett Hall. She is the owner and operator of the Oswald Rooming House and Museum. And y'all, this was one of the most fascinating conversations I've ever had in my life. She has a very personal connection to the story of Lee Harvey Oswald and JFK. And she remembers as a child meeting Lee Harvey Oswald at the rooming house, and she tells us that story. What makes this episode so fun is that we got to shoot it in the rooming house itself. So you'll get a little piece of history if you watch this episode, and it will have you questioning everything that you know about the JFK assassination story, about who Lee Harvey Oswald was. And if you are interested in that topic at all, I highly encourage you to watch the whole episode. But enjoy this clip from the number 1 episode of the year.
We're having a late breakfast, watching something. They break in with the transfer of Lee from city to county jail.
Oh my.
Detective Lavelle escorts him out. My brothers, "Mom, look, Mr. Lee's on TV." Jack Ruby steps forward and shoots him.
Captain Fritz. There's the pussy. There is Lee Oswald. He's been shot. He's been shot. Lee Oswald has been shot. There's the man with a gun. It's absolute panic. Absolute panic here in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters. Detectives have their guns drawn. Oswald has been shot. There is no question about it. Oswald has been shot.
We go hysterical. Mother jumps up, turns off the TV. It's broke again. And has to sit down with us and explain what he's been accused of, what's been going on over here with the FBI and the police, and why we just saw our friend shot on TV.
Wow. That's intense. And so you witnessed it during that live.
Yes.
Wow, that is. And you were talking about earlier too how you guys do have such fond memories. And your brothers had fond memories.
One of the striking stories I have about Mr. Lee is one day Hal and Mike are in the front yard wrestling. Not the best idea between a 10 and a 6. You know. But they loved to wrestle. Mike got hurt. But he doesn't sit and cry. He jumps up and tackles Hal. Now they're actually fighting.
Yeah. What was play turned into a real fight.
We understand this.
This sounds incredibly familiar
Typical
to me.
boy.
I've seen it once. I've seen it 100 times.
Yeah.
Being the oldest, it's my job to go out and stop the fight.
Yep.
By the time I get to the front screen door, Mr. Lee has already gotten out there. He must have been sitting on the porch watching them. And he's making them sit on the front stairs. And he sits down in between them. And he looks at them and he says, boys, I want to tell you something. And I want you to listen to me because it's real important. You're brothers. You got to care for each other. You got to love each other. And never do anything that would harm another human being. That's not the voice of a killer.
Well, thanks for listening to this episode and the top 10 most watched episodes of 2025. We hope you enjoyed it. What makes all these stories so special to us is that it's a glimpse into not only Oak Cliff history and what it takes to build a business, but it's just people in Oak Cliff that we've gotten to know and awesome stories that we've been honored to share with you. We've got more coming in 2026, so we hope you have a great start to the year. Stay tuned in. Thank you for supporting the show, and we'll see you soon.